Hi guys, Mike with Fights with Friends here. Let's get into the fourth fight that I'm breaking down on this incredible Professional Fighters League card on July 5th. Of course, they're calling it the $10 million tournament. 6 divisions, $1 million to each division winner, $200,000 to each runner-up. Day right after the 4th of July. Like I said, I'll be broadcasting from what they call the War Zone tomorrow on the 4th of July. The day after, the fireworks continue as I'm broadcasting Professional Fighters League, and you can follow along on NBC Sports and Facebook. We haven't heard the name Rick Story in a while, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But he's going to be fighting Yuri Villefort. Yuri Villefort, I like to call him the Streak. Currently, he's on a 5-fight win streak. That includes 2 first-round knockouts, 2 second-round guillotine submissions in his last 5 fights. I call him the Streak because right before that, he lost 5 fights in a row. That was after starting his career with a 6-fight win streak. So the guy goes 6 wins, 5 losses, 5 wins. Maybe now he's back on track. No long layoffs, no injuries. In fact, the turnaround it's largely a mystery. MMA math is such a weird puzzle, and it's so mental. There's no telling what goes on in a guy's head. It's like he gets a win, he's positive, he goes back in there, he's confident. He gets a loss. Maybe this guy gets a loss, he loses some confidence, loses 4 more in a row, and then all of a sudden he gets a win and he's back on track. So maybe he's back on track. Out of his 11 wins, he's finished 8 of his opponents, 4 of them by submission, 4 of them by knockout. Rick the Horror Story. If you've been around the UFC for any amount of time, more than 2 or 3 years, you're probably pretty familiar with him. You probably really wonder why he left the UFC too. So after winning, he had 3 victories in a row. One of them over Tariq Saffiedine, one over Gunnar Nelson. This was coming into the Cowboy Cerrone fight, and this is the last time he fought. He'd won 3 fights in a row, and he went in there against Cowboy Cerrone, and the UFC wanted to negotiate a new contract with him before the Cowboy Cerrone fight. Rick Story took a huge chance here. And he said, I want to wait to negotiate my contract until after the Cerrone fight, assuming let's put my destiny in my own hands, as fighters like to do, thinking that if he wins the Cerrone fight, he's going to have the leverage to negotiate a better contract. Unfortunately for him, it didn't work out that way. Cerrone gets the win by a second-round knockout in August of 2016, and Rick Story hasn't set foot in the octagon since. Now, that's not because the UFC didn't want him or didn't offer him another contract. The 19-fight UFC veteran was offered a multi-fight contract from the UFC before the Cerrone fight and offered to negotiate afterwards. He turned both of them down. He got beat up pretty bad by Cerrone, in his own words, and it really made him think about life after the UFC. That's what he said. He decided to take some time off to chase his childhood dream, and that's to be a firefighter. So he went back to school to be a firefighter, secure his post-fight UFC career. He's only 34 years old. He will enter this $1 million tournament with a good chance to secure financial stability, maybe be able to leave fighting and go straight into full-time firefighting. And he may either way. Or he may end up in the UFC after this for a little while. But at least he's got his backup career out of the way. It was really bothering him. So he took that time off. Now he's coming back. He's still got a few years to fight. He can decide what he wants to do. So I think Story grinds this one out. The guy, he's a grinder. He's very hard to finish. I think he wins it by decision. How far he goes in this tournament, I think kind of depends on how much he's been training since he stepped in the octagon against Donald Cerrone 2 years ago. I know he's been back in camp for at least the last 6 months. The 18 months before that, I don't know. So how much ring rust does he have? We're going to see in this fight. I think he overmatches his opponent in this one, though, Yuri Villefort, who could win. The guy's on a streak, but I just think Rick Story is going to be too tough for him, and I look forward to seeing what both these guys, whoever comes out of this, does in the rest of this tournament. Let me know what you guys think, who you think is going to win this fight, all the other fights on this card, and maybe the $1 million in each division. Do you think NBC is doing a good job of marketing this? I've seen a lot of advertisements on Facebook and different things. Let me know what you guys have seen. I'm curious what you think about this, and let's jump into the next fight and get another prediction.